Hey everybody, Josh from Populi here with a quick video about advanced settings that you can use in the registration process. As you're setting up registration, you can affect when registration's processed, and you can also add some randomization to that. So that's going to be most useful in two situations. The first is when you want the registration process to be fully random, so that it doesn't matter in what order anyone signed up for a course during the original registration window. The second situation is when you expect courses to fill up very quickly, say within the first 10 minutes or so, and you want to close the gap between folks who register immediately and those who register just a few minutes later. And speaking of enrolling, why don't you subscribe and then hit that notifications bell? Ding, ding, ding. What is this? The word that describes when a barrel rotates quickly down a hill? Because we're talking rolls. You'll need either the academic admin or the registrar role to use these settings. Two definitions to keep in mind before we get started: registration and registration processing. When we talk about registration here, we're going to mean the moment that a student chooses their courses and clicks the submit button when it leaves their control there. Registration processing is the point that Populi actually tries to place a student in the course according to availability and all that. If you don't use any advanced setting, registration and registration processing happen pretty much at the same time. When a student clicks submit, then their registration is processed. Let's have a look at where those settings actually show up. We're gonna go into academics and then academic term info. We'll set the correct term there, and then we'll come down to online enrollment and we'll click edit. This is where the advanced options show up. We're gonna click on this, and don't be scared, but we're about to get very, very advanced. I need you to be strong because I won't always be there to help you. Doesn't matter very much, but we're gonna go ahead and just set an opening date for registration here, just so that that's in there. And then we're gonna look at our first example, which is when you want to fully randomize registration. So it doesn't matter when a student actually registered during the registration period, they're going to be assigned to a course just based on random chance. So the way that we'll do that is by first changing when registration processes. So we'll want to set process registration starting at, and we're gonna choose a time directly after this time right here. So we'll set August 29th, and we'll make it just 10 minutes after that time there. That's when registration will process. Down here, this is where we're gonna actually add the randomization element. So we have to add some amount of time. For this example, we're just gonna add 1 minute of time here. So the process will be that we will hit this time, registration will close, and then just a few minutes later, registration will process, and then that will be using the lottery method that we've turned on just by adding a time value there into the registration lottery field. Once we save that, we're all set. You can see those settings here. This will make registration fully random when a student actually enrolled, has no bearing on whether or not they get into the course. Second example, this is when you expect courses to fill up quickly and you want to just add an element of randomization to the process. We're assuming that you're going to set this up before registration actually opens, and that you want this randomization element to affect the entire window for which registration is open. So let's go back into that dialog. We're going to remove these options. We don't need any delay here, so we're gonna set the process registrations to immediately. And then down here, just for our example, we're going to set the registration lottery to 5 minutes. That's all the setup that we need to do, but let's explain a little bit about what's happening. Once registration opens, here's what happens. Each time someone registers, they click submit on their course registration, they will be processed randomly at some point in the next 5 minutes. So let's say that 3 people register at exactly 12 o'clock on the nose, and their names are John, Sarah, and Jonathan. So they've all registered at exactly the same time, and each of their registrations will process at some point in the next 5 minutes. John's registration will process at 12:04. Sarah's registration is going to process just 20 seconds after she clicked submit, so a lot earlier than John's. And then Jonathan's registration will process at a little bit after 12:02. That continues to happen for everyone who registers. They hit submit, and then at some point in the next 5 minutes, their registration will process. Could be real close to when they submitted their registration, could be farther away. We don't know, it's random. Obviously, you can set this time frame to be shorter or longer. Just to think about what exactly that time frame affects, let's say that you somehow know that registration is going to fill up in exactly 8 minutes, and you have a lottery time frame that's set for 10 minutes. What that means is that somebody who registers immediately after registration opens could be delayed until after the course has already filled up. So the fact that their registration processed later means that they don't make it into the course. If the lottery time would have been 5 minutes, their registration would have processed during that 5 minutes. So assuming that the course still fills up by 8 minutes, they would make it into the course. Look at you, you've made it to the end of the video. Go ahead and click subscribe, hit that notifications bell, click like. Also check us out on social media. You can do that by looking in the description below, following those links. I'm Josh for Populi. Thanks for watching.